It is a Tuesday. It is aggressively, unapologetically normal. The time is 2:47 in the afternoon. The place is a supermarket in Las Vegas, Nevada. One of the big ones, an aircraft hangar of consumption where you can buy a birthday cake, a snow tire, and a week's worth of life-sustaining sustenance under one roof. The air inside smells of refrigerated air, floor wax, and the distant, savory promise of rotisserie chicken. The light is the flat, shadowless hum of 1,000 fluorescent tubes, a light that forgives nothing. It exposes the wear on a mother's shoes, the worry in her eyes, the desperation clinging to her like cheap perfume. This is the arena of the mundane, the battlefield of the everyday. Here, the struggles are not for championships or glory, but for dignity, for the simple, brutal necessity of getting through another week. The sounds are a symphony of the ordinary, the rhythmic beep of the cash registers, the squeal of a stubborn shopping cart wheel, the distant cry of a child who wants something they cannot have, the low, indistinguishable murmur of 100 private conversations. Into this cathedral of the commonplace, a god of a forgotten age walks. He is not a boxer, not anymore. He has not stepped into a professional ring for years. He holds no heavyweight championship belt. The gold and the leather are in a display case somewhere, relics of a different man, a different lifetime. The man who walks these aisles is something else entirely. He is a landmark, a piece of living history. His face is a story. A facial tattoo curls around his eye like a tribal secret. His features are softer now than they were on the posters that once adorned 1,000,000 bedroom walls. The brutal angles have been weathered by time, by regret, by a quiet, hard-won peace. He moves with a strange dichotomy of grace and gravity. The fluid, coiled power of a great predator is still there, deep in the muscle memory of his shoulders and his legs. But it is overlaid with a stillness, a deliberateness. He does not rush. The world, it seems, can wait for him. His voice, when he speaks to the employee stocking shelves, is not the roar of a titan. It is a surprisingly high, gentle lisp, a voice that has told stories of incredible violence and profound vulnerability, often in the same sentence. He is a philosopher king in a tracksuit, a sage who has earned his wisdom in the crucible of public adoration and public scorn. He is the man who once bit another man's ear in the heat of battle. He is the man who now breeds pigeons and speaks of ego and the soul. He is a contradiction, a walking paradox. And he is buying orange juice. He pushes his own cart. There is no entourage, no security detail creating a bubble of fame around him. He is just a man who could, if he chose, alter the gravitational pull of any room he enters, but who today seems to be choosing anonymity. He is trying to be invisible, but you cannot hide the sun. He is noticed. Of course he is. A subtle ripple of recognition flows through the aisles. A whispered name, a pointed finger, a teenager discreetly trying to take a photo with their phone. He ignores it. He has lived in the fishbowl his entire adult life. He is accustomed to the glass. He is focused on his list. Milk, bread, a specific brand of cereal, the mundane artifacts of a life lived outside the ring. And then he sees her. She is in line at checkout lane 7. She is the other fighter in this story. Her name does not matter. Her name is Legion. She is every single mother, every parent, every person who has ever found themselves standing on the precipice between making it and breaking. She is a warrior. Her armor is a worn-out pair of jeans and a faded t-shirt. Her shield is a look of fierce, protective pride. Her weapons are a stack of crumpled coupons and a calculator app on a cracked phone screen. Her war is against the relentless arithmetic of poverty. She has 2 small children with her, a boy and a girl, both under the age of 6. They are the reason for her fight. They are the source of her strength and the cause of her terror. They flank her like small, restless squires, unaware of the battle their mother is waging. Her face is a roadmap of her life. Lines of exhaustion radiate from her eyes. A permanent crease of worry is etched between her brows, but her jaw is set. There is a stubborn, unbreakable dignity in her posture. She will not bend. She will not break. Not here. Not in front of her children. Her cart tells a story of careful calculation. There are no luxuries, no impulse buys. Every item is a necessity. Loaves of bread, a large container of peanut butter, a bag of apples, a gallon of milk, pasta, rice, the building blocks of survival. There is one small concession, a box of brightly colored, sugar-laden cereal, a small treaty she has negotiated with her son, a reward for his good behavior in the store. It is the one splash of color in a sea of beige necessities. The conflict did not begin today. It began months ago, when the factory laid off a third of its workforce. Her job, gone in an email. It escalated when her car broke down, eating the last of her meager savings. It became a siege when her ex-partner's child support payments became sporadic, then stopped altogether. Her life has become a series of strategic retreats, giving up the small apartment for a smaller one, canceling the internet, selling her grandmother's locket, each sacrifice a small piece of her soul, traded for another day, another week. Now, the battle has come here, to this checkout lane. The challenge is defined by the cheerful, cruel beep of the scanner. Each beep is a footstep, bringing the enemy closer. Beep, the bread, $7. Beep, the milk, $5. Beep, the apples, $6. She watches the numbers climb on the small screen facing her. The numbers are her opponent, a cold, impartial judge of her failure. $23.54, $56.12, $92.80. She holds her breath. She has done the math in her head a dozen times while she shopped. She walked the aisles like a general surveying a battlefield, making tactical decisions. This brand of pasta over that one, saving 40 cents. The store brand cheese, not the name brand. She had a number in her head, a budget, a line in the sand. $150. That was the line. The cashier, a young woman with tired eyes and a practiced impersonal smile, continues scanning. She is efficient, her hands a blur over the items. Beep, beep, beep. The final item is the box of colorful cereal, the treaty, the promise to her son. Beep. The cashier hits the total button. The number appears on the screen, glowing in unforgiving green digits. $178.43. The number hangs in the air. A verdict, a sentence. $28.43 over. For a moment, she just stares. Her mind goes blank. It is the feeling a boxer knows when they take a punch they never saw coming. The world tilts. The sound fades to a dull roar. The stakes are impossibly high. On one side is her pride, her carefully constructed image as a provider, a mother who has everything under control. On the other side is the hunger of her children, and in the middle is $28.43, a gulf as wide as the Grand Canyon. Behind her, the line grows. A man in a business suit checks his watch, his sigh a small puff of impatience. A college student scrolls through her phone. They are not cruel. They are just people, living their own lives, waiting for their turn. But to the mother, their presence feels like a stadium full of spectators, all watching her fail. Her children are starting to get restless. Her daughter is pulling on her sleeve. Her son is asking about the cereal. "Can we eat it in the car, Mommy? Can we?" His innocent question is a knife twisting in her gut. She begins the negotiation, the most humiliating negotiation in the world, the negotiation with herself in public. Her eyes scan the items already bagged. What can go? What can be sacrificed? The chicken. The package of chicken breasts was $12. If she puts that back, she is closer. But that was for 3 meals. Without it, it's just pasta again. Pasta with no sauce. The apples, $6. But the doctor said they needed more fresh fruit. The milk, no. Impossible. The cheese, the soap, the toilet paper. All necessities. Her gaze lands on the box of cereal. $5.50. It is not a necessity. It is a want, a luxury. She looks at her son. His eyes are wide, fixed on the colorful box. He trusts her. He believes in her promises. Putting back the cereal would feel like admitting the ultimate defeat. It would mean she cannot even afford a small splash of joy for her child. Her hands are trembling. A hot flush of shame creeps up her neck. She can feel the eyes of the people behind her. She can feel the cashier's professional patience wearing thin. Ma'am, the cashier asks, her voice neutral. Is there a problem? The word problem echoes in the mother's head. Is there a problem? Oh yes, there is a problem. The problem is a broken world, a broken system, a broken heart. She avoids the cashier's eyes. She looks at the number on the screen. $178.43. I need to put some things back, she whispers. The words taste like ash in her mouth. The cashier's smile tightens. It is a look she has seen 1,000 times, a mixture of pity and process. Okay, just let me know what. The narrative returns to the present moment. The fluorescent lights hum. The beeping continues from other lanes. The world has not stopped for her crisis. She is alone, an island of quiet desperation in a sea of afternoon shoppers. The man is still there, the former champion, the forgotten god. He has been watching, not with the idle curiosity of a bystander. He has been watching with the focused stillness of a predator, studying its prey. But there is no malice in his gaze. There is something else, recognition. He knows this fight, not this specific battle in this specific grocery store, but he knows the war. He grew up in the crushing poverty of Brownsville, Brooklyn. He knew the gnawing ache of hunger. He knew the burning shame of not having enough. He remembers his own mother, struggling, fighting, sacrificing. He sees his own history in this woman's trembling hands. He sees a fellow champion in the ring, taking a standing 8 count, trying to clear her head before the next bell. She takes a deep breath. It is a surrender. The chicken, she says, her voice barely audible. She points a shaking finger at one of the bags. And the cereal. Her son's face falls. The light in his eyes dims. But Mommy, you promised. I know, baby, she says, her own voice breaking. I know. We'll get it next time. Next time. The great lie of the poor. The desperate prayer for a future that is always just out of reach. The cashier reaches for the bag, and that is when he moves. He does not rush. His movement is a study in economy and purpose. 1 step, 2. He covers the distance between his cart and her checkout lane in a silent, fluid motion. He arrives beside her. He is a mountain of a man, and his sudden proximity makes her flinch. She looks up, her eyes wide with confusion and a flicker of fear. She sees the face, the tattoo, and her brain short-circuits. It is a face from television, from history. It does not belong here, next to her, in the middle of her private humiliation. He does not look at her, not at first. His focus is on the cashier. His hand moves to his pocket. It is a smooth, practiced motion. The same hand that once delivered some of the most devastating punches in the history of sport. He pulls out a wallet. It is thick, worn leather. He does not open it to find a credit card. He pulls out a thick fold of cash, $100 bills. The action is described in slow motion. The air seems to thicken. The background noise of the store fades away. His thumb, thick and powerful, peels off not 1, not 2, but several bills. He lays them on the counter, a small green pile of impossibility. He still has not spoken. The cashier freezes, her hand hovering over the bag with the chicken. She looks at the money, then at the man's face, her own eyes wide with disbelief. Then he speaks. His voice is a quiet murmur. The famous lisp softens the words, makes them sound almost gentle. I got this, he says. Just 3 words, not a question, a statement, a declaration, the end of the fight. The mother finds her voice. It is a choked, strangled sound. No, she says. No, I can't, please. This is her pride's last stand, the final, defiant refusal to accept what she perceives as charity. To accept this kindness would be to admit she has failed. He finally turns his head and looks at her. His eyes are not filled with pity. There is no condescension. There is only a deep, profound, and weary understanding. He is looking at her not as a project, but as a peer, an equal. It's okay, he says, his voice still quiet. Everybody needs help sometimes. Everybody. The cashier, recovering from her shock, looks at him, then at the pile of cash. She scoops it up, her hands fumbling slightly. The machine whirs as it accepts the bills. It prints the receipt. The transaction is over. The bell has rung. The fight is finished. And the mother, the warrior, who had stood so tall against the onslaught of shame and poverty, finally breaks. The shocking outcome is not a knockout. It is a collapse. Her body gives out. The strength that held her upright, the pride that formed her spine, it all dissolves in an instant. The sheer, overwhelming force of this unexpected, impossible kindness is a blow she cannot withstand. It is more powerful than any punch she has ever taken from life. Her knees buckle. She crumples to the linoleum floor. She lands softly, a heap of worn-out jeans and exhausted humanity. She hides her face in her hands and begins to sob. Not loud, hysterical sobs. Quiet, ragged, soul-deep weeping. The sound of a dam that has finally, catastrophically, broken. For a long moment, there is absolute silence in checkout lane 7. The world has stopped. The man in the suit is no longer looking at his watch. The college student has put her phone away. The cashier stands frozen, the receipt still in her hand. Everyone is staring at the scene, at the fallen woman and the quiet champion standing over her. This is not supposed to happen here. Profound human drama is for movies, for television. It does not belong in the sterile, predictable environment of a Tuesday afternoon grocery run. The champion is the first to move. He bends down. It is not an easy motion for a man of his age and size, a man whose body has absorbed a lifetime of punishment. He kneels on the cold floor beside her. He does not touch her. He just waits. He gives her the dignity of her grief. Her children, who had been silent and confused, now rush to her. Her little girl wraps her arms around her mother's neck. Her son just stands there, his hand on her shoulder, the box of cereal forgotten. After a minute that feels like an eternity, her sobs begin to subside. She lifts her head, her face streaked with tears, her eyes red and swollen. She looks at the man kneeling beside her. "Why?" she whispers. It is the only word she can find. And now, the master's explanation begins. The lesson. He does not give a simple answer. He does not say, "Because I have money and you don't." He does not offer platitudes. He offers a piece of his own broken soul. "Because I've been there," he says, his voice a low rumble. "I've been on the floor, more times than I can count. In the ring, out of the ring. I've had everything, and I've had nothing. I know what this feels like." He gestures around the store, at the bright lights and the endless shelves. "This ain't the real fight," he says. "This here, the money, the food, this is just one round. The real fight is in here." He gently taps his own temple with his forefinger. "It's in here." He then taps his chest, over his heart. "The world wants to tell you that you're weak if you ask for help," he continues. "The world wants you to believe that you gotta do it all by yourself. That's a lie. That's the lie that keeps us all down." He looks directly into her eyes. He is not just speaking to her. He is speaking to the ghosts of his own past. Real strength. True strength. It ain't about how hard you can hit. I hit harder than any man alive. It didn't make me strong. It made me a monster. Real strength is about how hard you can get hit and get back up. But sometimes you can't get up on your own. Sometimes you need a hand. He pauses, letting the words settle. Letting someone help you, that ain't weakness. That's the bravest thing in the world. It's telling the universe that you're worth saving, that you're not done fighting yet. He reaches out, not to her, but to one of her grocery bags. He picks it up. "You're a champion," he says to her. "You're fighting for them." He nods toward her children. "That's the only heavyweight title that means a damn thing. Don't you ever forget that." The challenger's acceptance is not a word. It is a look. She looks at him, and for the first time, she does not see a celebrity. She does not see a fearsome boxer or a pop culture icon. She sees a man. A flawed, scarred, beautiful human being who understands her pain not through pity, but through experience. She sees a fellow fighter. A single tear traces a new path down her cheek. But this tear is different. It is not a tear of shame or despair. It is a tear of release, of gratitude, of connection. She slowly, shakily gets to her feet. The cashier, still holding the receipt, rushes over with a handful of napkins. The man in the suit now looks at her with something like awe. She takes the napkins and wipes her face. She looks at the champion, who is now standing with two of her grocery bags in his hands. "Thank you," she says. The words are small, but they carry the weight of her entire world. It is the thank you of a soul that has been seen. He just nods, a small, almost imperceptible dip of his head. He carries her bags out of the store for her. He walks beside her, a silent, powerful guardian, through the automatic doors and into the blinding Nevada sunlight. He helps her load them into her old, dented car. He puts the bag with the cereal in the front seat, where her son can see it. He does not ask for her name. He does not give her his number. He offers no more money, no grand gestures. The lesson was the gift. The moment of shared humanity was the prize. He waits until she has buckled her children in. He waits until she has started the car. She looks at him one last time through the driver's side window. He gives her another small nod, and then he turns and walks back into the store to finish his own shopping. The event becomes legend. It starts with a single post on social media from the college student who was standing in line behind her. "You will not believe what I just saw." The story is told and retold. It spreads across the internet like wildfire. It is picked up by news outlets, by blogs, by talk shows. In the retelling, it becomes mythologized. The amount of money changes, the details get fuzzy, but the core of the story, the emotional truth of it, remains intact. The story of the fearsome warrior who won his greatest victory, not with his fists, but with his heart. The story of the mother who was knocked down, not by a punch, but by an act of grace. The long-term impact on the mother is impossible to quantify. The money, of course, helped. It was more than just the cost of the groceries. The champion had left enough for her to catch up on her electric bill, to fix the rattling sound in her car, to buy a new pair of shoes for her daughter. It was a lifeline. It was breathing room. But the true impact was deeper. The encounter rewired her soul. It dismantled the fortress of pride she had built around herself, a fortress that was also her prison. She learned that vulnerability was not a weakness. She learned that accepting help was an act of communal strength. She started going to a local food bank, not with shame, but with a sense of practicality. She reached out to a community support group for single mothers. She learned to ask. She learned to receive. She never forgot the lesson she learned on the floor of that grocery store. She taught it to her children. She taught them that strength was not about never falling, but about how you treated people who had fallen. The event also added another layer to the legend of the champion. For a generation that knew him only as a caricature, a punchline, a man of violence, this story revealed the philosopher beneath. It proved that the greatest changes, the most profound transformations, happen not in the spotlight of the ring, but in the quiet, unglamorous aisles of ordinary life. And so, we arrive at the explicit moral, the final lesson of the tale. What is true power? Is it the ability to dominate another, to impose your will upon the world through force? For a time, the champion believed this. He built an empire on that definition of power, and he watched it crumble to dust. Or is true power something quieter? Is it the ability to see the pain in another person's eyes? Is it the strength to kneel when the world expects you to stand tall? Is it the wisdom to know that the heaviest punch you can ever throw is an act of unrestrained kindness? The greatest fighters are not always found in the ring. Sometimes they are found in checkout lanes, fighting silent, desperate battles for their children. And the greatest champions are not the ones who lift belts, but the ones who lift up their fellow human beings. In the end, the story is not about a boxer and a single mom. It is about all of us. It is a reminder that we are all fighting a hard battle, and that sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is to look at the person next to us, the stranger in line, the fellow traveler on this difficult journey, and with no expectation of reward, simply say, "I got this."